It's important for me to talk about this because honestly, a lot of us keep these things to ourselves, especially Black women. We don't like to be open and transparent around these things because we don't want to seem weak. I know that's been my experience where I want to show as the best version of myself and put my I got it together outfit because that's what I've learned to use as a way of self-protection. That's what I've learned to wear as a form of ensuring that people see me and treat me a certain way. And in this season of my life, I feel that God is urging me, is nurturing me, is calling me to show up with a level of transparency where I see myself as truly an architect of my reality and not a victim of my circumstances. And a big part of that is to be transparent about the things I've experienced and how I have navigated them. Because oftentimes, our lives, our reality is one perspective shift away. And when you are invited into somebody's perspective, that may be the small shift that your soul was looking for and calling for to help you turn things around for you. And many people have been those for me. So I'm desiring to be that for others in this season. Some of the biggest challenges that I faced this year had to do with perfectionism. I feel that Black women are constantly feeling and experiencing this challenge because so much of our strength and our resilience is built on the blocks of perfectionism. It's built on having to be a certain way to be accepted, or at the very least, feeling like you got to be a type of way to be accepted. And that was the biggest challenge I faced in 2024. It was the attachment to being perfect and to thinking that perfectionism is required for me to be accepted, for me to be loved, and for me to be really in community with others, feeling like I had to be perfect to be enough. And this is something that I see with the women that I serve and I work with. I've been a mentor now for 14 plus years. I've been working with Black women business owners the entire time. And if there was one thing that I've seen across all of my clients in this 14 years that I've been working with them, it is an attachment to perfectionism. We have learned that we have to be perfect. We have learned that we have to work twice as hard as our non-Black counterparts to get half of the opportunities. And that creates this dynamic where we don't accept ourselves unless we do feel like we're being perfect. We don't love ourselves unless we feel like we're being perfect. We don't feel enough unless we think that we're being perfect. And perfection is an illusion. So with that being the case, oftentimes we put in all this work, but we don't feel enough. We don't feel worthy. We don't feel deserving. And we show up with that energy. And I was experiencing that in 2024. I was going through this period where I feel like I was unearthing deeper levels of perfectionism, especially in my career. I was unearthing deeper levels of perfectionism with my family. I was unearthing deeper levels of perfectionism in my relationship with my friends. And it was a challenge because when you're used to being a certain type of way, it's very difficult for you to step out of that way, especially if you're not seeing yourself clearly. A knife can't cut itself. So when you are too close to it, it's hard for you to see yourself and for you to make the changes that are required. And that challenges all of us. Perfectionism is so embedded in our culture too. The need to meet expectations, the need to feel like you're being the model, the role model is so strong that it can have a big impact on how you show up. And it was showing up for me everywhere in my business, feeling like I have to be more of a perfect business owner in order for me to get the results I desire, the financial abundance I desire. In my marriage, feeling like I wasn't being a perfect spouse, especially because of the things that my husband and I may be looking to improve in our partnership that continue to stretch us, feeling like I'm not owning up, I'm not showing up, I'm not doing it right because I'm not being perfect, feeling like I'm not enough. For example, there was a period of time when I was still living in Florida where for a few months in a row, I was on the brink of eviction. Like I was paying my rent late. I didn't know how I was going to make my payments. I have been living in this complex for about 4 years. And in that time, my rent went up from $2,800 to almost $4,000. Plus, I had a child. So all of these changes were happening, and it was very difficult for me to sustain a level of safety, a level of I have a shelter and I'm safe in this shelter. These are things that just hit you different when you have a kid. And living in America, here I was thinking that I just have to get more. I need more. I need more. And instead of realizing that I was in a place that wasn't aligning with me anymore because of how much my rent was going up, how fast it was going up, and how hard it was for us to sustain living there, especially after my husband had gotten laid off. So these were things that were really stretching me because I'm used to having things done perfectly. I'm used to paying my rent on time. I'm used to not having a letter that says I might be getting evicted. So these were things that were very difficult for me to navigate. And honestly, I was very, very challenged. Like a lot of these things I'm still making sense of. Like I'm learning to be okay with the fact that these are part of my history and part of my experience because I had so much resistance to experiencing things in this specific way.